Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. It has been a minute since I did a video and lots of things have changed. So we were living in a mobile home and we lived in that for about 10 years and we loved our mobile home, but we did not like the location of it. We had been living in a mobile home park and we loved it. We had like a half an acre all to ourselves. They let us have a pool. We had a garden. It was private and we loved it. But then they ended up closing that mobile home park down and we had to move to a very large mobile home park where they were very strict. Kids weren't allowed to have bikes. They just had a lot of rules. The rent was very high. At our other place, it was only $200 a month because we owned the mobile home. We were just renting the lot, you know. And the new place, our lot rent was $500 just for a piece of grass, and it was just crazy. We just weren't happy living there. We had really wanted to get a house, but we basically have, me and my husband work from home and we do it together, but it's basically like living off of one income, and we just never thought we'd be able to afford to get a house. And then I found out about this program called the USDA direct loan, and it is amazing. And I just wanted to make this video. Whenever I heard about this loan, I tried to do a lot of research and see like other people's experiences and things like that, and there just wasn't any information out there. So I thought if there's anybody like me who is trying to find information about this loan, then maybe they'll find my video and they can hear my experience and it might be helpful. I think when a lot of people hear about the USDA loan, they're just thinking of the guaranteed loan, which is where you can go to the bank and get this kind of loan. But with the direct loan, you have to go directly through the USDA office. The only office that we have is, or I think we have a few offices, but the closest one to us is about 2 hours away. So we just solely communicated through email, and we didn't even have to talk on the phone, never had to go to the office. We would just scan in the documents, send everything to her, and it was super easy. And I hope that this video can be helpful to some people. I made like a timeline, how long everything took, what the process was like and everything. So if I'm looking down, then this is what I'm looking at. But just a little bit about this loan first. So this is for low to very low income families. Basically, if you make under $60,000 a year, I think that's for a single person. We're a family of 5. I can't even remember. It's like 100 and some thousand is the limit, and we make way below that. I think for a single filer, it's like 60,000 a year, something like that. I'll have to do some research. I can't remember the numbers for sure, but if you're anything like us, basically living off of a single income, then this is something for you. So I want to say too that before we had heard about this loan, we tried to apply for an FHA loan, and they only approved us for $100,000. You cannot find a house, at least in my area. You cannot, there's no way you can find a house for $100,000. With the USDA loan, they approved us for more than double that. So if you've ever tried to apply for a loan and you got a low number like us and got discouraged, I highly recommend that you check into this loan. It is amazing. So your payments is kind of like based off of your income. It's based off of what you can afford. And they offer a payment assistance. Oh, and they offer different loan terms. Like they give you anywhere between 33 to 38 years to pay the loan back, which makes your payments much cheaper. You get a lower interest rate. Oh, on October the 8th, we put in our application, and I think that was like a weekend. So, and I think it was a holiday weekend, so they were out of the office. So on October the 12th, I got an email confirming that they had received the application. And then the next day on the 13th, we got notified that our credit had been pulled. The other thing about this loan is it's okay if you have a low score, as long as you haven't filed bankruptcy and as long as you don't have a bunch of late payments with no good reason behind it. So, okay, so if your credit score is 640 or higher, you just pass with flying colors, you pass through that part. Even if you do have bad things on your credit report, they don't even look into it if your score is at least 640. Now, if it is lower than 640, you can give them, or even like if you have no credit at all, if you have, I think it's 6 months worth of 2 things showing that you have paid it on time. So your rent, your electric bill, your water bill, your gas bill, anything like that, you have to have 2 items showing that you have made on-time payments with those if you don't have good enough credit or whatever. Now, if you have derogatory marks on your credit, I'm not sure about that. Our credit score was over 640, so we had just passed straight on through. But they really try to work with everyone, and it is just an amazing program. Okay, so I'm just gonna read like through the timeline here. That's what I was trying to figure out, is like how long of a process this is and what all steps you went through and everything. So I wrote it all down here, and I'm just going to go over that for anybody who is like me, who's trying to find that information. Okay, so October the 8th is when we put in our application, and I think that was like over a weekend, and I think it was a holiday weekend. So right when they came back to work on October the 12th, we had an email confirming that they had received our application. And then on the very next day, our credit was pulled. And that same day, October the 13th, when they pulled the credit, they had sent me an email saying that I forgot some of the paperwork that needed turned in, and I got all the paper in that same day. I just scanned it in on the computer and emailed it to her. Okay, and then on October the 28th, the loan technician emailed and said that she was done processing the application and she was sending it to a loan specialist. So that was really good news for us. Once you get past that part and they say it's sent to a loan specialist, then you're approved. You just don't know what you're approved for yet, but that means that you are approved, your credit went through, all that stuff. November the 8th, so exactly 1 month later, the loan officer emailed for the first time and said that he expected to be done with our application the next week. It looks like it took him longer than a week, because the next update was November the 23rd, and I called the loan officer and found out that we were approved and the amount that we were approved for, and that was a very exciting day. So we started house hunting that same day. We called all kinds of realtors and found one that we liked and wanted to work with, and started looking at houses. Okay, so it took from October the 8th is the first day I submitted the application, and it took until November the 23rd to hear that we were approved. So it's about how long is that? It's about 45 days is how long it took to put in an application and to get approved. Oh, and whenever it's called your certificate of eligibility that you get, and it'll tell you the amount that you're approved for, and that thing expires. So your first one, you get 45 days, and then they allow you to get 2 extensions of 30 days apiece to put in an offer on a house. So we got lucky because with COVID, they allowed an extra 3 more extensions on if you couldn't find a house in that time frame. Some other things about getting a USDA loan is that you have to find a house in a rural area, but you'd be really surprised what is qualified as a rural area, because the house that we found It's like, feels like you're in the country, but you're just right down the road from the city. I don't know how it is everywhere, but like here, it's very easy to find a home in a rural area. You just can't live right in the middle of town. Trying to think of the other things I wanted to tell you guys about this loan. Oh, one of the rules is your house can't be more than 2,000 square feet, but basements do not count as, they don't count as living space. So if you found a house that was 2,000 square feet, but plus it had a finished basement with it, they don't count that, so you'd still be good. So no rural areas, nothing over 2,000 square feet. And then I think some areas have a limit on your land. Like, it was so weird because our first loan officer that we got, his name was Steve, and he told us that we couldn't get a house that had more than 2 acres with it. And we still hadn't found a house in time, and Steve ended up retiring, and we got a new loan officer. And with her, she was in, obviously we're still in the same state and everything, but she was in a different county than him, and there was no rules with her about how many. You could get 50 acres if you could find that, and that would be fine. So that was really weird. I don't know, it was weird. But now the house hunting, that was the hard part. Holy crap, trying to buy a house in 2021 to 2022, it was absolutely crazy. So, okay, so we got approved November the 23rd, and we finally found our house in May. It took, how long is that? December, January, February, March, April, May. It took us 6 months to find a house. We had found a lot of houses, but there was so much competition. Everybody, like, there was one house that we thought we were very interested in it. We wanted it so bad, but there was like 10 other offers on it, and we weren't the one to get picked. It was so stressful trying to find a house. Every time we put in an offer on about 5 houses before we finally found our house. It got to the point where we could not find a house. We were getting so discouraged. We were about to run out of all of our extensions. And if you don't find a house during, like, you get the 45 days, and then you can apply for another 30 days after that, and then another 30 days after that. And if you don't find a house in that time frame, then you have to apply for the loan all over again. So I got to the point where we were just getting so discouraged, and we decided, it was a dream of mine to build like a pole barn style house, a barn dominium, or whatever you call them. I've always just called them pole barn homes, but I love those. I think they're so neat. You can get such a big house. Like, the material to build the house doesn't cost that much, so you can spend all your money on designing the inside how you want it. And I just think they're really neat, and I would love to have one. So anyways, we were about to run out of our time, and we decided, how about we just build a house? So that was the plan, and that loan is amazing. You can build a house, you could buy a house. The only thing you can't buy is a mobile home, but you can't, if you buy a mobile home, it has to be brand new. You have to buy some land and buy a brand new double wide or whatever. But with that, they only give you 30 years to pay on it instead of the 33 or the 38 years. So it'll make your payments a little bit higher. Anyway, so we had decided to just build a home. So we were out driving all over the place looking for property. And, we were having a very hard time finding a house. And then we decided to build the house, so we were having a very hard time finding property to buy. And just all the prices had skyrocketed. Our limit on the property was $30,000. Anyways, so our plan was to buy some property and build a pole barn style home. And in the meantime, a house ended up popping up that I thought it was kind of neat, and it was pretty much right across the street from my sister, or it's right across the street from the road that my sister lives on. It just looked like a neat house, and I wasn't really interested in it. I was stuck on wanting to build our own home, but I'm like, let's just go and look at it. And we came and looked at it, and I love it so much. It was built in 1899, and I just love those old homes, and I never thought it would be a possibility for me to actually own one. But so I fell in love with it, and we put in an offer on it. With this house, we only had one other competition, and what was good for us was that the other couple who wanted it, they had to sell their home before they could buy this home, and we were just good to go. We could close as soon as possible. So luckily they ended up going with us, and so we got approved in November, and we put in an offer on this house in May. Like, it was such a long, stressful time trying to find a house, but the wait was totally worth it. I know this house was just meant for us. We just had to wait for it, but I love it so much. And my next video, I'm going to give you guys a tour of our house, and I have some things that I want to fix up on the house. I have some things that I already did that I planned on recording videos of it, but I just get, whenever I get something new, I'm like so excited and anxious to start on it. My thought is to never hurry up and grab the phone and record this. I'm just, oh my gosh, let's hurry up and get home so I can do this, you know? So I'm going to be having lots more videos coming of fixing up this place, and so stay tuned for those if you are interested in them. I hope some people found this video helpful, and thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions that I can maybe answer about the USDA direct loan, then just leave them in the comments below. And yeah, thanks so much for watching. Bye guys. Bye guys. Okay, now whenever you first walk in, you are in our sunroom. These couches and stuff was left here, and we just decided to keep them. It's kind of a mess out here right now. My sister just gave me this tobacco sign. This tobacco basket wall hanging thing, and I don't know whether I'm going to end up using it or not. We have company over here almost every single weekend, so we always just hang out on these couches out here, and we love this room. It has windows all the way around that we can open and let fresh air in here. So it's super nice. And then this door is an original door. I love this door. Whenever you come in, hi Faith. So whenever you walk in the front door, you are in our living room. This is definitely not my favorite setup. So our front door is right in the center of the living room, so it makes it for like an odd placement for the couch. And this house definitely was not made for a sectional, but this couch was left here with the house, and when we sold our mobile home, they needed a couch, so we just left our couch there. It was a sectional too anyways. We left ours there, and we just used this one. So, but obviously it's blocking the fireplace, and I hate that, but this is just the only way we could figure out how to arrange this. We were going to put our TV up on the mantle, but our TV's too big, and it just didn't work out. So until we get a new couch, it's probably how it's gonna have to be. But at Christmas time, I totally want to put a Christmas tree next to the fireplace, you know? So maybe I could talk my husband into trying to rearrange some things, but he lets me decide pretty much everything, but when it comes to the TV, that's a different story, and he really had to have it there, so that makes it where this is pretty much the only place to put the couch. But anyways, there's little Miss Bella. Hi, Belle. So the bottom half, this used to be like a burgundy color, and I picked out what I thought was like a cream color, but it turned out looking pretty white. But I'll put a picture on what it used to look like in here over on this side of the screen somewhere. And here is the dining room. These built-ins are original. Oh, and through here is our one and only teeny tiny bathroom, but has everything we need. Toilet, pedestal sink, and a shower. And then in here is our kitchen. And the stove and the fridge. It's kind of in a weird place, but the longer I'm here, the more used to it I get. These are packages, things that need packed, and a package that needs to get shipped out. Our deep freezer. I hate this thing in here. I want to put it in the basement, but for right now it's in the kitchen because that's how my husband wanted it. Like I said, he lets me pick everything, so I make compromises with things like this. And here's our little back porch. There's little Kratos sleeping. Yeah, I'm wanting to get some hooks to hang along here, and so we can hang our coats and put our shoes down here and hang our coats up here. In the summertime, the kids will have a place to hang their towels when they get done swimming. You guys, I am so happy about having a dishwasher. I was so excited to have a dishwasher. I haven't had one in over 10 years. So that's like, might be one of my favorite things about this house. And in here, a little doorway in here. Down there is the basement. I have this little space heater. I need to bring it down to the basement. But so the living room is in there, and it has, I guess these craftsman style homes have a lot of doors in them, so you can close that door. And this is our pantry area. Definitely wanting to do something different in here. So for now, I just keep the door open and it blocks it. And look guys, that is the old doorbell system. It's really neat. I wish it worked, and I'd love to find somebody who knew how to work on old things like that and we could actually get it working again. That'd be really neat. Okay, we'll go upstairs first. This chair is just here. So, my husband, he sits in that when he plays video games, and I didn't have anywhere to put it, so here's the stairs. I just love these stairs. Okay, so I'm definitely wanting to repaint this red color. The rest of the hallway down here is just white. I'll probably just do that to make it seem brighter and bigger in here. But yeah, so all these doors are original, and the doorknobs and logos, I really want to get some keys for them. But this is just a closet in here. My son's room does not have a closet in it, so I hang his shirts and stuff in here, put his pants and everything in the dresser in his room. Use the rest for storage. Sorry, I don't have a light in here, but they're really deep and you can actually fit a lot of things in here. Is Bella's room, my youngest daughter. It's a little bit messy in here, but if you want to show them your room, here's Bella. So I let all the kids pick out their own colors in their rooms, and of course Bella picked pink. And I will show the before picture when we first bought this place, and you can see what it looks like now. All the kids were so excited to have their own room, and I actually love all the colors that they picked out. And these closets, all the closets look like this, and I'm wanting to put some kind of paneling on it, or at least paint it all white. And none of the closets have lights in them either, so these were actually on our front porch when we moved in here. We just hung them up in Bella's closet. Now this is where it gets a little bit messy, but they're very deep. She has way too many toys.
I want to play.
Huh?
I want to play with my stuff.
Okay, go ahead. So this is Bella's room. And here is me and mine and my husband Curtis. It's our room, but my oldest daughter's in there right now. So I'll just show you guys a picture of what it looked like when we bought the place. I haven't done anything to it in there. And the only difference is there's furniture in there now. I'll show you guys his room. This is just another closet, cram-packed with toys. So Jackson keeps his toys. This is his room. He wants to show you guys. Okay. So Daxton picked out this color paint. And since it was such a dark color, we just decided to do one wall in it. The rest of the walls are white. This is what color they were when we first moved in. Want to show him anything? He wanted that bear picture to hang above his bed. And his great uncle gave us this, and he wanted to put that in his room. But Daxton likes to keep his room very, very clean. He doesn't want any toys in here. We need to get a dresser to put over here on this wall so he can put his TV on it. But the thing that sucks about this house, I guess most older homes, they only have one outlet in each room. And his outlet is over here by his bed, so that's why his TV is sitting right there. Upstairs. Mine is me and Curtis's bedroom, which I'll show you guys another day.
Hi, bud. Love you. You sick?
Poor Kratos. Okay, so back downstairs. I'll take you guys into the basement. So I definitely want to do something to these stairs. I already have an idea in mind that I want to do. For right now, these are what's on the stairs that go upstairs, and there was 3 extra that was left here, and we just put them on here to make it a little bit safer for the kids going down. But my oldest daughter, her bedroom is in here. She was wanting to show you guys, but she hasn't been feeling so well. Here is her Squishmallow collection. It's kind of messy in here, guys, sorry. Just gonna have the kids clean their rooms first. But, okay, so she doesn't have a closet in here because this is just like an extra room that was in the basement. So we just have these clothing racks in here, pants on one side, shirts on one side, and it works out just fine. The ceiling in here, I'm thinking about just painting it white, or maybe get some of these ceiling tiles to go in here. I haven't decided yet. These are what is in our living room upstairs, and these were left over, and for some reason they cut like a big hole in the ceiling right here, so we just wanted to cover that hole up. So we still got work to do in here, but Faith picked this, like, it was like a really light gray color, but after we painted on the wall it looks white too. So here's her room. This is my little work desk area. And this little room over here. Little baby. So sweet little bunny. Spoiled and gets her own little bedroom. My daughter decorated. We painted pink. See, this ceiling was the same as what's in her room. And we just painted white. It needs another coat, but we're just trying to do it quick to get her room in here. She's a sweet little bunny. Everything is a huge mess down here right now. I need to, this is the area I need to start working on. These are things that I'm selling, and just, everything's just in a big old mess right now. But our washer and dryer is down here. The kids have a little bit of toys down here that I do a lot of work down here, so they could play while I'm working. But yep, so this is the basement. So I'm back outside now, and I forgot I wanted to show you guys that my husband hung a tire swing out here for him. I love that. This video is going to be about the USDA direct loan. I did one of these videos recently, and there was a lot of things that I wanted to include in the video that I didn't, and I've had a couple of questions. So this video is going to be about the closing process of the USDA direct loan, how much it cost and what it was like, and the requirements and all that good stuff. So I wrote a little bit of stuff down so I don't forget anything that I want to share with you guys. So somebody had asked what were your out-of-pocket fees. First off, when you put in the application, you have to pay the $25 credit report fee. And then after you get approved, you have to take a home buyer's class, and those were all online ever since COVID started. They did have like face-to-face classes, but now everything is online. I think there's always been an option to do it online anyways. But the in-person classes I think are free, and the online classes charge money. So for that, there's also like multiple different ones that you can pick from, and the one that we picked was $75. And then so whenever you put in an offer on a house, you are supposed to put an earnest deposit down, and that just lets the seller know that you are very serious, you definitely want to buy the house and all that stuff. So I don't know what is like the average price, but in my area, our realtor was trying to have us put $1,000 earnest deposit down, but we did not have $1,000, so we told the realtor we would like to do $500, and that's it. So every time we put in an offer on a house, we would put the $500 earnest deposit down. And you do have to have that money in within like 2 business days or something like that. If they accept your offer, you have 2 days to give them the earnest deposit money. So make sure like you actually have the cash and you can afford it. Those were the out-of-pocket fees, and then you have to do the inspection. Once they accept your offer, I think you have 10, or at least we had 10 days to do the inspection and give the sellers an inspection response. This house that we are living in is not the first house that we put in an offer and did an inspection and all that. The first home, we loved it so much, we thought that it was meant for us. The main thing that we wanted was property. I don't care if we lived in a mobile home, as long as we had privacy and some property. That was our main thing that we cared about. And we found a house that was on 5 acres and it had a huge fenced in backyard. Like 2 of the acres was fenced in, and there was a privacy fence on this side so you couldn't see neighbors over there, and then this side had great big pine trees so you couldn't see the neighbors on that side, and the property was just super nice. The house was super nice too. I love the house too. It was just a 1-story, 1,800 square foot home, but it had 4 bedrooms. It only had 1 bathroom. Everything was modern and nice and updated and all that stuff. So we were super interested in that house. We put in an offer. They ended up rejecting our offer, and I was like so bummed about it. Like I wanted that house so bad. And a couple of days later, our realtor called and said the people whose offer they had accepted above ours, they never showed up to turn in their earnest deposit. So now we were the backups. He wanted to call to see if we wanted to put in an offer, and we're like, yes. I'm so excited. So we put in the offer, another offer. They accepted it this time, and then we got to the inspection part. And so for that inspection, it was $475. There's all different home inspectors, and even if they're like out of your area, both of mine were, and they'll drive to your area. As long as they're in your state, you could call them and get an estimate and just call around, find out the cheapest one, but also one that does a good job. So our first one, we went with the cheapest guy, and he wasn't the best home inspector. And my other tip is to be there for the entire process, because our first one, so we were new at this, we stayed for about a half an hour. We had somewhere we had to be, plus it kind of felt like we were like in his way, you know, like following him around and everything. We didn't really know how to act in that situation because it was our first time. But so we just left after like a half an hour, and then he had ended up calling like 4 hours later or something and said he didn't do his whole job that we had paid him to do, because he was supposed to check the attic space, and in that house the attic was above the washer and dryer, and his excuse was that he couldn't scoot the dryer out to be able to get into the attic, which I can move a dryer, you know. So that made me mad because we had paid him to do that, and if he wouldn't come back to do that, then we were gonna have to pay somebody else to come out there just to do that, even though we had paid him to do it, you know. That's why my advice is to stay there during the whole inspection process. So anyways, that house ended up having foundation issues, which is one of the worst things that could be wrong with the house. And so I think with like an FHA loan or something, you can ask the sellers to fix it and they can agree to fix it, but they have until, like, you can go ahead and close on the home and they can pay with like the funds from selling the house to get it fixed. But with USDA, the home has to be move-in, safe, ready to go. And foundation issues obviously isn't very safe. So with USDA, they had to get the foundation problem fixed before we could close. And it was like a $60,000 job. There was no contractors even available to do it. The sellers do not have $60,000 up front to get this problem fixed, so they just couldn't sell it to us. And we did get the earnest deposit back because it was something out of our control. So you do get the earnest deposit back, but you do not get the home inspection fee back. So my advice would be to bring somebody with you if you know anybody that's knowledgeable about structural issues and major things that could be wrong with the house before you pay for the inspection, because you're just going to be out all that money if it doesn't work out for you, and that sucks. On this house, this is our second house that we put the offer in, the seller accepted, and we actually went through the process again. So with this house, it has a septic tank and it had well water. So those are extra, you have to do that with USDA. You have to get the water tested and the septic tank tested with the USDA. So those are all extra fees that's added on to the home inspection. And also you have to have a termite inspection done, and those do not come with like the average home inspection fee. Those are extra things that you have to add on that cost more money. So for this house, it was $675 for an inspection, plus we had gotten a better qualified inspector that charged a little more money, but he was worth it. Okay, so for this house, you're at the $25 credit check fee, which I'll tell you why I'm counting that fee in at the end, but the $25 for that, $75 for the home buyers class, $500 for the earnest deposit, and then $675 for the inspection. The inspection with this house, we were more cautious about it. Our realtor was, he was actually a contractor too, so he was like, he could tell you by walking through the house, like, if there was a structural problem and stuff. For this house, it was all pretty much minor things like, and I don't even know what USDA actually would have made us have to fix, because you do the inspection response yourself and then you turn it in. So the inspection response is where you say, I want this, this, and this fixed that showed on the inspection report, and are you willing to fix it or not? And the seller can agree or disagree to that. So you do all that, and then after you have the completed paperwork back, then you give it to your loan officer, and then she'll tell you like, hey, you left this out and this needs to be fixed, and then you have to do like a counter thing. So we had just went through and put everything that we had thought that USDA would require of us and sent that to the sellers and hoped that we had included everything. And USDA is all about like, it has to be safe for your family to move into. So some of the stuff was like the stair rail was too close to the wall. So like if you fell down the stairs, you wouldn't be able to grab a hold of it, stop yourself. So that's a safety thing. We put that on there. The hot and cold water was a safety concern. It's just something simple like the knobs were, it's supposed to be hot and cold, but the knobs was reversed, so the cold was actually the hot side, and it's a safety concern because you could burn yourself with the hot water, It was all just like very minor things like that. And then we needed like a new dryer vent hose. The inspector said it was like some type of safety concern, so we put that on there. It was all very easy, cheap things that I knew that the seller would agree to do. But then, since this house that we purchased was built in 1899 and it has all original windows, and I thought for sure that USDA would make us have to replace the windows because they're obviously not energy efficient. So we had put that on the inspection response, and then we got the response back and they agreed to fix everything except they would not replace windows. And we called around and got estimates, and it was going to be about $8,000 to get all new windows in this house, and they did not want to do that. And I wrote our loan officer and I asked, like, is this something that has to be done? Because it came down to like, if we were just they weren't gonna sell the house to us. If we came back at them like, no, you have to fix the windows, and if they really didn't want to fix them, then we would have just been out of this house and out of the inspection fee again, and we were getting so discouraged. We're like, this house has to go through. I wrote the loan officer and asked if the windows was like something that absolutely had to be done, and she wrote back and said, yes, if the sellers are willing to pay for that, then you need to do that, but it's not a requirement from us or anything. And I'm like, oh, thank God. So I told our realtor, like, forget it, we don't need new windows. That's something we'll just do at a different time. I just want this house. So anyways, yeah, USDA was like so easygoing about everything that needed done, as long as it's like minor things. You know, the first house was foundation issues. That's a major problem. And so yeah, that was an issue. But then all the other stuff, they can be kind of nitpicky, I think, about what needs to be fixed, but it's also not a big deal because everything was like cheap that needed fixed. Oh, so then the next step after you do the inspection response, and that you guys, the seller and you both agree to, the next step is that the USDA appraiser has to come appraise the house. And I had read what the little bit of information I could find about the USDA direct loans. What I did read online was that the appraisal process was the worst part about the whole process because it took so long. We had put on our offer that we could close in 30 days. So I was kind of worried that the appraisal process would take too long. We'd be past that 30 days, and I didn't know what would happen if we weren't able to close in that time frame. But appraiser, he came. It only took like a week for the appraiser to come. But he ran into some issues that I did not know that an appraiser could say, this, and this needs to get fixed on the house. I had no idea. I thought that the appraiser just came and said the house is worth this much money. But no, he says the house is worth this much money if this, and this, and this is fixed. So that came up to, there was more things that needed to get fixed. And one was that these, like I said, we have the original windows from 1899, and they're ran off a counterweight system, and some of the weights were broken inside. Those had to be repaired or replaced. Our realtor, he's a contractor, I think I mentioned that, and the sellers actually hired our realtor to do the work around here to get us all to close on this house as fast as possible. So we just told him about it. We actually went and bought also the sellers hadn't lived in this house for like 6 months, and they lived like a few hours away. We lived right down the road from here, so it was easy for us to just come here and meet the realtor and come in and do what needed to get done to get it fixed, since it was all minor things that anybody could pretty much do themselves. So like I said, the sellers had hired our realtor to do this work around the house. So my husband and I just went and picked up the parts for the windows. They were like $2 or $3 a piece, and we needed like 8 of them. And we just went and bought them, met the realtor over here. He installed them. It took him like 2 minutes literally. And then we were done with that issue. And then the next issue that the appraiser had was he could not find the well. This house was ran off of a well, and he could not locate the well. And in order to close on this home, the well had to be located. So we had came out here, my husband and I, we had 2 of our friends come over. We had a probe. We went walking around the whole property, probing the yard, and we could not find the well. We talked to the neighbors. They didn't know where the well was. We got a hold of the previous owner, the sellers that we were buying from. They didn't know anything where the well was. We got a hold of the sellers before them, and he gave us like a general idea where he thought that it was, and we had probed everywhere around there, couldn't find it. And it came down to like the sellers was going to have to pay somebody to come locate the well, and we had called around to get estimates, and the cheapest place was $1,800 just for them to tell you where the well is. And that was crazy. Or it could get hooked up to city water. Oh, and something that I forgot to mention was, so we had the water test back, and it had came back that it was contaminated with coliform, which is bad. But we talked to a bunch of well specialists, and they said it was probably, the well probably actually wasn't contaminated, and the issue was that the inspector got the sample from the kitchen sink, which I guess you're not supposed to do. It's supposed to be taken like directly from the well source or the closest place to the well, because the kitchen can be messy. You can get food and stuff splashed on there, and it can make your test results like a false positive for coliform. So we weren't too worried about it, and our loan officer hadn't mentioned anything to us about it, so we just wasn't going to say anything and try to close on the home. but the appraiser said that the well needed to be located, and like I said, they were going to charge $1,800 to locate the well, or there was the option to get this house hooked up to city water, which is what my husband and I had planned to do in the near future anyways after we bought this house. And that was going to be $1,500 to just hook onto city. We wouldn't have to worry about contaminated water and all that stuff. We ended up having to tell the sellers, like, look, you're gonna have to, we can't close on this house until the water source is located. And we've went way out of our way to do everything else that we can to get a close on this house, and this is up to you. You can get it hooked up to city water, or we're just gonna walk. And they agreed to get it hooked up to city water. So that delayed the closing process by like another 2 weeks. So I had this wrote down, but we had put in our offer in May, and we were supposed to close on June 10th or something like that. And then because of the whole water situation, the final day we ended up closing was July 13th. So it was like 45 days. We were supposed to close in 30, but we had to push it out to like 45 days. Okay, so the next thing that I wanted to talk about was actually like closing, going to the office and closing. Okay, we were approved for $250,000, but we bought this house for $219,000. $30,000 left over. And our original plan, and something that you are able to do with this loan, is if you get the house, like if you have money left over, that like you didn't go up to your maximum spending limit, with that extra money, you can fix up the house, get new flooring, you can get new appliances, stuff like that. So we had planned on turning the basement into a living space. We were gonna get flooring down there and build an extra bathroom out of that money. And that's something that you can totally do. But with this house, our issue was because of its age, it probably has lead paint in here. And USDA makes like there's a big deal about safety concerns, like I said. And because of the lead paint, if we wanted to have any work like that done, then there was all these extra steps we had to go through. We had to register the home with the historic homes or something like that. And we had to get like lead certified people to come do the work, and they wouldn't be able to get paid until, I can't even remember. There was just a lot of extra that went just because of the age of this home. But if you move into a house then it's full of old carpet and you want some wood flooring and you have extra money left, then you're able to do that. You just have to tell your loan officer before they do the appraisal, so that when the appraiser comes out, the appraisal will be based off of it having new flooring instead of carpet or whatever you're wanting to do. You are able to do that. We just couldn't, all because of the age of this house. We can at a later date, and it's really cool because I can't remember the name of this specific loan, but it's another loan that we can add on to what we already have, and they only charge a 1% interest rate. It makes it like really affordable if we wanted to do that. After we've been here for a while, we're gonna try to fix it up ourselves as we go and not have this extra loan amount that we have to worry about paying. But it's a nice option, especially like my husband, he's allergic to cats, and if we were to get a home with carpet and somebody had cats that lived in there, I would definitely want to be able to replace the flooring. So that's really nice about that. As long as you get a house that is before a 1970 something, I think if it's like prior to 1970, that's when they start worrying about lead paint. So as long as you get a newer home and you want new floors, then or new appliances or anything that you want to be able to do to update the home, if you have money left to be able to do that, then you can do that. So also, it's best to get a home that is not, you don't want to go all the way up to your max, because if you do, then your closing cost you have to pay out of pocket, and to close it's like $4,000. You spend under your limit, like we were approved for $250,000. We only paid $219,000 for this home. So we had the $30,000 or whatever left over So our closing costs were covered, and we even got all of our money back. So I forgot to mention, you have to pay a year's worth of homeowners insurance up front too. And you can shop around, but the cheapest one that we were able to find was about $1,000 for the first year. You have to pay it up front. So we had the $500 earnest deposit, the $675 home inspection, the $25 credit check, $75 home buyer's class, and then about $1,000 for the 1 year home insurance. And at closing, we got all of that money back. So I had to give the loan officer all the receipts of all these items, and then this adds up to a little over $2,000, and at closing we got a little over $1,800 back. So I don't know what fees out of there that they didn't give back, but there were some things, because this adds up to over $2,000. We got $1,800 back at closing in our pocket. Most of the amount that we paid to put into the house, we got it back at the end. So that was amazing. You need to have like a couple $1,000 put back in the beginning, but you do get that money returned to you as long as you buy a house under your maximum price range. If you go all the way up to your max, like we were approved for $250,000, if we would have bought a house for $250,000, then we would have had to pay the closing costs, because there wasn't anything extra out of our loan to cover that. And like I said, it's like $3,000 to $4,000. So try to find something under your range, or put in an offer so that you at least have, I'd say $5,000 to be perfectly safe. Put $5,000 under your max to be able to cover all the closing costs, and then you get it back in your pocket at the end, and it makes it so much easier for your first month of living there. Your payment is due 30 days after your closing date, so that money comes in really handy to help while you're trying to get settled in and everything. But yeah, I think I have covered everything that I wanted to say about closing on a home with the USDA direct loan. If you have any questions, then please leave them in the comments below. And if I know the answer to them, or regardless, I'll respond to you. Hopefully I'll know the answer to your question. I hope that you found this video helpful. I do plan on making another video about the USDA direct program, because there's just so much information on this that I can't fit into one video. My video would just get way too long. Please subscribe if you want to see my future videos. I apologize in advance if the glare on my glasses is driving me crazy, but my contacts were bothering my eyes, so I had to put my glasses on. I was just gonna make one more video about the USDA direct loan program. I'm just answering some of the questions you guys have asked me, and then I think I'll probably have covered all the topics. If you have any more questions, then please just let me know. The first question that I will start out with is, how do you apply? I am going to screen record myself, go onto their website, and there's a self-assessment tool that you put in your income and all of your payments you have to make, if you have a car payment or credit card payments or anything like that, and it will give you an estimate on what you might get approved for a house. So I'm going to take you through those steps real quick, and then I will be right back. I will have this website linked down below for you guys. I am just going to click on purchase a single family home. You could also pick to build a home, pick your state. I am in Indiana, so I will pick that. And then I am just going to pick a random county. This is where you put in your family information. You as the applicant, you can put your husband or wife can be your co-applicant, but if they don't have good credit, then I would suggest putting them as another adult household member instead of a co-applicant. Then they won't look into their credit. So put your kids on here if you have any. Your estimated property taxes, I'm just going to put what ours actually is, which is $600. The The annual insurance is about $1,000. No homeowners association fees. This is where you will put your income in. If you have a 9-to-5 kind of job, you will put it right there. We are self-employed, so click on add a column in self-employment. That is also where you can add disability and social security and things like that. Now this is based off of a $30,000 annual income. Your monthly income would be $2,800. I'm just doing this to give you guys an example of what you can get approved for this amount. And this is where you put in your debts. If you have a car payment or credit card payments or whatever. I just picked credit card and $80 a month payments. And then this will ask if you have any delinquent debts. Just go through all of these questions. You can answer them honestly. They will not deny you for any of these. We actually had the 30 days past due payments within the last 2 years. We had that and we still got approved. And then it will tell you that it appears to be a good fit or not and the amount that you are approved for. So off of only a $30,000 a year income, you can still get approved for a $260 something thousand home. And if you want to apply for this program, you can click on contact us, click on your state and the county once again. And then it will bring up a list of offices that is close to your area. If you have one in your area, you can just go in there and grab an application and turn it in with them and everything. Myself, we did not live near any of these. I just emailed all of them. Somebody emailed me back with the application and we just solely communicated through email. Every step of this process was through email. Okay, now that you guys know how to apply and have a good idea on what you can be approved for, the next question is the approval requirements, which is basically you have to have a job. You have to have I think it's a 2-year stable income. And if you don't, that's okay too. You just have to explain why there was a mix in jobs or whatever your situation is. The credit requirements. So if you have a score that is 640 or higher, you will just pass on through with flying colors. If you have late payments on credit cards or if you have anything bad on your report, it does not matter as long as your score is at least 640 or higher. You will just pass on through with flying colors and they won't even look at your credit history. If it is below 640 or if you have no credit at all, that's okay too. They still try to work with everybody. I know that if it is under 640, then you have to show 2 forms of proof that you've paid payments somewhere on time for the last 6 months or something like that. It might even be 2 years worth, I'm not sure. But so your rent, get a statement from your landlord or someone saying that you have made on-time payments for the last 6 months or 2 years or whatever the time frame is. You'll find out. They'll tell you everything you need once you apply. But so you can do your rent, your electric bill, your water bill, your phone bill, anything that you have a good track record of on-time payments. They need 2 of those. And then it doesn't matter what your score is. Oh, and I had a friend we told about this program. He applied right after we did, and he had lots of late payments on his credit cards and a lot of negative credit history. And the loan officer had just asked him for letters of explanation for each different thing. And he is actually closing on a house today. So it seems like they really, really try to work with everybody. Someone else asked when you have to pay to take the first time home buyers class, and that is right after you get approved. You have a certain amount of time to get this class done, and in my area it costs about $75 to take. The next question someone asked was how to find a good real estate agent, or like any tips that I have to help you find one. And mine would be to just call multiple realtors and ask them if they have ever dealt with a USDA loan before. We called like 10 different ones, honestly, and we finally found one who said that they were aware of it, they knew the rules. It's nice to find someone who has some type of knowledge on the USDA loan so that you're not wasting anybody's time, because there are rules, like it obviously has to be in a rural area, but you'd be so surprised as what qualifies as rural. Our home that we purchased, it has that country feel, but we're like 5 minutes from being in the middle of town. Well, not the middle of town, but like a side of town that has a lot of things. It doesn't bother me at all because I don't want to live in the middle of town. I don't want to live in an addition or anything. So getting a home on the outskirts of town, regardless of what type of loan I was getting, that's what I would be looking for anyways. So that didn't bother me at all. Also, you can get a house that is over 2,000 square feet, but that does not count basements. So say you got a house that was 2,000 square feet, but it also had a 2,000 square foot basement that had bedrooms in it, and it was finished, and it had a living room and a kitchen and all that. That would not count towards your living space, so you would still be able to get that home. And here in Indiana, there's a rule that you can't get an in-ground swimming pool. I know that those are common in Florida and California and places like that, so I'm not sure how that rule works, if that is even a rule. If you live in those areas, you'll just have to check with your office, but that is a rule in Indiana. And I guess that is all of the questions that you guys have asked me. If you have any more, then just comment them down below. And if I know the answer, I will try to help you out. Like I mentioned in the beginning of my video, this is probably going to be my last one about the USDA direct loans, unless I have multiple requests or even just a single request. If I have a request to make another video going over certain topics, then I will happily do that. I made this channel for like DIYs and home makeovers and things of that nature. So this will probably be my last video about this. And if you are interested in, we just bought this $18.99 home. That's a 123-year-old home, and it's in excellent condition, everything is, but there's just some painting and certain little things that I want to do. And if you're interested in watching me fix this old home up, then I would love it if you subscribed. And I'll probably do a little bit of vlogging, a little bit of cleaning, stuff like that. So if you are interested in that, I would love to have you subscribe. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.